If the words case study makes you think of a dry corporate report that nobody actually reads, the ones that come into your inbox and you just delete right away, I get it. But the thing is, when you write a case study, it can actually be a really powerful tool to showcase your expertise and help potential clients see exactly what it's like to work with you. And case studies, they don't have to be stiff, formal, or sounding super professional. In fact, the best case studies feel like real stories that are going to keep your people engaged because really that's what they are. It's a story about your client transformation. And so in this episode, I'm going to be breaking down what you need inside of a case study and how to make it not dry and boring. So if you've been meaning to create a case study, but you're feeling stuck on where to start, this episode is for you. Welcome back to another episode of the Cozypreneur podcast. If this is your first time listening, Cozypreneur is all about helping you make money and work with the dreamiest of clients. So grab your beverage, get your cozy socks on, and let's dive in. So, case studies, why do they matter? Case studies matter because they show your expertise, they show how you help clients, and they're not just about proving that you can do what you do. They build trust and authority because they give your people some insight about how you are working. And you don't need to be super professional. You can make it conversational, you can make it engaging, and you can also repurpose it across all your content. So any case study that you do, it can go on Threads, it can go on Instagram, it can go on LinkedIn, it can go in your emails. And one of my favorite ways of doing case studies, both for me and for my clients, is to get clients on a call or on the podcast and have them talk through their experience. And so I'm going to give you some examples of questions that you can use to create a case study that is going to be interesting and showcases the exact transformation that your clients had. So really, there are 3 big sections that your case study needs. And I'm not saying you need like headings with these 3 sections, but they're like the 3 main points that you're going to want to hit. The first one is the problem. And so this is really about what was going on before working together and really thinking about why this person wanted to invest with you and what were they looking for, because this is most likely something that your audience has in common with your client, right? Because the people that have the same problems, they're the people that are going to be the right fit for that specific offer. And so talking about those problems is going to be a huge core section of the case study because you really can't be like, hey, here's how you solve the problem without talking about the problem. The second section is the overall experience. So what was it like to work together? And this is really where your clients can talk about like how organized you are, what the communication is like, what are these things that you as a professional stand out in the way that you do your work. And so not just really thinking about the problem, why they hired you, or the transformation, what they got out of it, but what was the actual journey like? How did it feel? What were the things that really stood out as great client experience? And really, those are such great things that you can use in your marketing. And then the final piece is the transformation. So what were the biggest wins? What changed from, the moment that they started working with you to the end? So those 3 sections are really the heart of it, but I will give you some questions that you can actually ask on your calls to get that information to write a good case study. So the first one is what was happening in your business or your life before we worked together. And so this is really that problem section, thinking about what was the actual thing that they were struggling with and really talking about that. And what were your biggest struggles? So what was holding them up? Why did they need support? What did it look like in their day-to-day? Then you can ask, what other solutions did you consider before choosing me? So this gives you some insight as to what other things are out there and what your competitors are doing or other solutions. So for example, maybe somebody DIY'd their design and now they are looking for a professional designer because the DIY isn't really getting them as far as they wanted. It got to them to where they are now, but they need something more elevated, more professional moving into the next phase of their business. If they tried other things that didn't work, that's going to give you some information about how to position your offer, because then you can talk about, hey, this person DIY'd, and then when they worked with me, they were able to XYZ. And you can talk about that in your marketing, in your case studies. Then we have, what was the experience like while we worked together? So this is pretty open-ended, really just about what it's like to work with you. I love asking this one. What are you most proud of? What are you most excited about? That really gives some insight about their biggest win working with you. And that's something that you're going to want to highlight inside your case study. So when you're writing your case study, you don't necessarily need it to sound like a report, right? Like, think about how can you make it sound like a story. And so, you can start with, hey, when client whatever came to me, this is what they were struggling with. And it wasn't until we made these changes, right? And really talking about the work that you did together, and not necessarily like, you don't need to list out like, hey, first we did this, then we did this, then we did this. Like, no, but really highlighting like, these were the big things that we focused on. And that's why it was possible for this client to get the transformation. And I would say when writing a case study, it gives you so much. These calls that you have with clients give you so much good information about how your ideal clients talk. What are the words that they use when they talk? And so putting that back into your case study, really using direct quotes from your client, that is going to help you resonate with the right people, as long as your case study person is the kind of people you want in your offer. And I would focus on the big areas, right? So the problem, the experience with you, and the transformation. You don't need to make it super, super long. Like, you can have a podcast episode that's a case study. You can have a blog post that's a case study. Those will be your long form content, but you can also take that case study and make it into some threads, make it into an Instagram story highlight. You can take clips from the interview and make them into reels. So one case study can give you tons and tons of content, because you can take a blog post and break it into, hey, this is what this client was struggling with. Here's the 3 things that we changed, and here's what they were able to do. And that can be a whole set of threads. So some of the more common mistakes that I see when people are writing case studies is, one, trying to be way too formal, way too professional, just copy pasting out of ChatGPT. No one's going to read it. They want to read a story. A story is going to be emotionally captivating. It's going to talk about how people felt, how they feel now. It's going to talk about what they struggled with. And so really tapping into those feelings, really tapping into the experiences. The other thing that I see, and I see this all of the time, is focusing on the results without showing the context. That context is so important, because, okay, say that somebody went from 4 days of working out to 5 days of working out. The people who are reading it and who are like, oh, I only work out once a day, either one, they're going to be like, that's not possible, going from 1 to 5, it's not going to work. Or 2, they're going to invest in your offer and they're going to expect the same results as somebody else. But when it doesn't look like that, they're going to be disappointed. And then you have a client who is not happy. And so giving that context behind, it builds trust, but it also makes sure that you are getting the right people in there and people that you can actually help. And then that is pretty much it on case studies. I would suggest getting on calls with people, asking them a few questions about their experience, and then you can pull in results. But as long as you're giving the context behind the results, that is going to be a game changer for writing case studies. And just remember that case studies aren't about you. They're about showing potential clients what's possible for them. And the three main parts are the problem, the overall experience, and the transformation. But really keeping it simple, personal, keeping it strategic, really showing what are the shifts that you made with your clients, what are the shifts that you can make with your future clients, and how you can help them achieve the transformation they want. Those are going to be the big pieces. So if you have never written a case study before, start by reaching out to a past client and asking them a few of these questions, and then use it to create your content. And if you want me to do that process for you, definitely reach out. I am happy to write you a case study and reach out to your clients and have conversations with them about how you have helped them. It's one of my favorite things to do for my clients. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram. I will be there. And until next time, thank you for listening. That's a wrap on today's episode. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to rate and leave a review on your preferred listening platform. If you haven't, make sure you subscribe for weekly episodes about how to make money and work with the dreamiest of clients without having to get dressed in the morning. Make sure to check out the show notes down below, and I'll see you in the next episode.